This is going to be a quick video on how to set up and tension a Speedcube. The cube I am using for this tutorial is basically a stock Moyu V9 cube, except I traded out the maglev for springs. That's the only difference. Firstly, what we're going to do is take a center cap off, take a screwdriver, and completely unscrew this side. And go ahead and just pull it out. And if it has a spring, pull that out too. If it has maglev, then don't worry about it. Leave the base magnet in if you can. Before tensioning it, if it's a springed cube, we're going to lube the spring. But if you have maglev, you can just skip over this step. I like to take weight 5 and just put it around the spring. Just like that. And then go ahead and drop the spring back in there with the lubed side towards the core. Now for the tensioning part, drop the screw back in. What we're going to do, or what I like to do, is keep loosening it, even though it's not threaded already, until I have part of the screw facing me, just like that is kind of, it's facing me. Like part of the plus part of it is facing me, the Phillips. I'm going to apply a little pressure just to make sure I keep it in place. And then I notice I'm in red front orientation, so I'm going to count how many times I pass this red side just to get a basic idea of where I am and then fine tune from there. So I'm going to hold the screw in the same orientation but rotate the cube. So I just pass the red once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5, 6, 7. And I'm going to do 7, and then we'll fine-tune from there and see just how that works out for you. But that's how you get a rough estimate of even tensions. So I'm going to do that to every side of this cube, and then I'll show you how to lubricate it internally. I realized in the last clip I kind of skipped over this step. So I just lubed this spring side up, but I just placed the screw in there as well, and I'm about to just tune it to a rough estimate. And I said make sure you have part of the Phillips part facing you, and remember your orientation, put light pressure, and start counting how many times you pass the face. So like that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But I did not mention afterwards that to make sure it's like tensioned properly, make sure the Phillips part is still facing you. So like it might be off, and I'm off by a lot quite sometimes. So what I do from there is say it's like that and more of a X than a plus towards me, then I'll just like either loosen it or tension it based on where it's closest to, and that gives you a rough estimate for even tensions. And then you could also just feel for it afterwards, and then when you're fine-tuning you can get it down almost perfectly. I've finished tensioning every side now, so now we are going to lube the internal part of this cube. So we're going to start by taking an edge out, removing a corner, and then removing the edge next to that. And then we'll see this edge here, it still has its little track, of course. And what I like to do is take angstrom gravitas, open it up, and I like to put it just on this track here for this edge piece. So mix it around a little bit, get a decent amount. I just start little to make sure I don't over lube, and then add more if and as necessary. And I go ahead and just put it on that track. And then any that didn't go on the track and anywhere else, like besides the track, I just like to kind of just try to remove. Anyway, once that's done, you can go ahead and assemble the cube again. So put the edge back in, put the corner back in, put the edge back in, and you'll see it moves super slowly. Like, I don't know if you can see or hear, but... So anyway, you're gonna want to like just mix it in by just doing a bunch of turns on your cube. Once you have the gravitas evenly distributed, I like to take the cube apart again because I have 2 lubes for the track besides the gravitas. I also use FZCal, and it may look different than it does on the cubicle now. That's because this is the sample from Nationals before it was sold on their store, or on their website, I believe. And I still have it, so I still use it. But anyway, the same place we put the gravitas, we are also going to be putting the FZCal. I like to start with 2 drops, and then put the cube back together and add more, if any, as needed. And once again, you're going to have to do some break and turns to make sure it spreads evenly. But yeah, do that, see how you like the feel of it, and then we'll go from there again. After we're done with the gravitas and the FZCal, we will be moving from the tracks to some piece lubes. I like to use Angstrom Dignitas for this next step. So open it up again, and with the edge piece that you take out from this cube, doesn't matter which one, of course, we will be placing it kind of on its, I guess, base or stock, stem, whatever you want to call it. But I don't like to take too much for this step, just a little bit. And we'll be placing it here on this teal part right by this fluorine hole. And this is optional. You can place it, depending on the cube you have, of course. You can place it kind of on these little stem parts right here on top of it. But what I like to do for this part is put it on the teal, as you can see here, and kind of just move it all along. And I like to do it to both sides. So I'm going to take a little more, because again, I don't like too much for this step, but that's just my personal preference. You can use however much you want. And it's okay to get it on some pieces on the side of it. Just try to keep it as limited to the base or whatever you want to call it as possible. Once you do that, go ahead and put the edge piece back in, and then do some more turns to distribute it evenly again. After that, we have one final lube to use, which is FZ Rush. Once again, it's a different color and a different bottle. It's just a 3C bottle, because it was the sampler from Nationals from 2023. But what we're going to do is just kind of open up the cube a little bit, like separate some space between the corner and the edge. And we're going to take the FC Rush. And again, I like to start with 2 drops and just go ahead and put it on the piece. So that's 1, 2. I'll kind of just start to smear it around with the tip from the bottle. And then do some turns to break it in and see how I like it. And then from here, if your cube is too slow or too fast, you can use some different lubes too. Like if it's too slow, just drop some D&M to speed it up. So like open the cube again and then just drop some on the, like say, corner stock or on the actual pieces again, like we just did with the Rush. If it's too fast, you can always use a piece lube like FZCal instead of FC Rush. Or you could also use weight 5 on the pieces, which makes it very smooth. After finishing lubing the cube, you'll have to do a few solves on it. After like even just turning to distribute and breaking the lube, you're gonna have to do a few solves on it and, you know, a few averages to get it to its best state of where everything's just like almost perfect, where everything's distributed and broken in. But after that, your cube should be exactly how you like it, and just perfect and awesome to be able to do some averages with. So yeah, that's it for this video. Hope it helps, and thanks for watching.